Welcome back to Empowerment Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann. If you want to find out more about my work, my book, my video seminars, CD series, go to thefearandanxietysolution.com, thefearandanxietysolution.com, and you can find a lot of information on what you can do to feel more empowered, to build a stronger foundation of confidence and inner peace, to identify the subconscious root causes of your challenges, fear, anxiety, depression, and how to resolve them. I think we all have much more potential inside of us than we are giving ourselves credit or that we have been really shown. And so the work I'm offering is helping people to resolve the blocks that prevent them from really accessing what they're all about, whether it's their purpose, their potential, or just their ability to be happy and alive. I have also a YouTube channel that you can find most of the Empowerment Radio shows on as videos, and you can find also other seminars and interviews on there if you're interested in finding out more about how to work with the subconscious mind, what is a subconscious mind, and why is it such an important part on that journey to feel more happy and more fulfilled. Now, if you have any questions during the show, you can either type into the chat box on Transformation Talk Radio, or you can call 888-418-6890. I repeat, 888-418-6890. Any questions about New Year's resolutions, how to be happier, any comments, maybe you have suggestions yourself, we would love to hear from you. Now, I talked at the beginning about the 5 steps or the 5 resolutions. Ultimately, it's one resolution that has 5 steps to get there. Now, the first one, we'll get more into it later, which is about connecting mind, body, spirit, emotions. The second one is I called it talk back to the voice in your head. You can also call it become your own inner mentor. But either way, one of the biggest distraction factors in our lives is that little voice inside of our head that comes in different tunes and in different flavors. It can be the voice that talks you always out of things. Oh, it's not possible. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, it's going to be hard. Why even trying? Or that voice that judges you. Oh, you gained weight during the holidays. Oh, this is probably something that, you're going to get judged for. Oh, you cannot really say this to your colleague. They will not like you for that. Or that voice that judges others and basically finds always a fault in everyone else. It can, as I said, come in different flavors, but it can really take you out of the present moment. Because that voice is relentless. The more you're trying to ignore the voice, the stronger it gets. And sometimes it doesn't stop until you finally do what the voice wants you to do. This is classic when you are dealing with self-sabotaging behavior. You have great intentions, but then there is this little seductive voice that says, wouldn't it be nice to go to the refrigerator and eat something healthy? What about a yogurt or some carrots? And, you should really just rest a little bit. You had such a hard time during the holidays. Why don't you put your feet up and just watch a little TV just for 10 minutes? And lo and behold, everything that you set out to do didn't really happen. Now, as I said, we either ignore that voice, which doesn't really help, or we are giving into this voice, which doesn't really help either, because often this voice does make us avoid things or procrastinate around things or go into a more self-defensive, protective mindset. So what about talking to this voice? What about speaking back? What about realizing that this voice has a source where it comes from? It's not a little speaker that's implanted in your brain. There is actually something deeper inside that voice takes its information on, takes its beliefs from. Something that programmed the mindset of that little voice or those different voices to see the world and see you the way it does. And often when you listen to the voice, you know the themes repeat themselves. They can be themes about life is hard, you cannot really trust others, oh, you're not really good enough, or you don't really fit in, or you cannot really have what you want. All of those kind of beliefs, things that you just know have an origin, mostly somewhere in your childhood. Now, rather than saying, oh, okay, it comes from the past, it comes from my parents, it must be right, you can actually step up and say, well, reality is relative. That means I can actually create my own mind around it. I can create my own laws around it. I can actually decide how I want to see certain things. I had a client who told me that she has a little voice that always talks her out of going to the pool. And she loves swimming. It's a wonderful feeling. But this voice says, well, you need to lose a couple of pounds because otherwise you're going to be too self-conscious. Well, since the pounds don't go, she doesn't go to the pool. And that means she doesn't swim. And that means she denies herself that what she really wants, which is to be in the water, just because of some strangers that she may never see again may have an opinion about her extra pounds, which most likely they don't have anyhow. So being the inner mentor in this case meant for her just to introduce to this voice the idea that it doesn't really matter what other people are thinking. It's much more important what I'm thinking about myself. And I'm fine with how I look. I'm fine with these extra pounds, and the likelihood of shedding those extra pounds is much higher when I'm going to the pool than when I'm not going to the pool. So basically, she, as this inner mentor, was able to turn this voice on its head and help it to realize that her reality is not about others, but it's more about herself. And there may be other themes that you can discuss with this inner voice and help that inner voice to let go of some of those limiting beliefs. Let's say you have that voice that always finds faults and flaws in others, but you don't really believe that judgment is the way to live or the way to go. So what if you introduce to that voice acceptance? What if you are talking about compassion? What if you're helping that inner voice to look for the good things in other people and not just hold on to the bad things? What happens when you're talking back, when you have an inner dialogue, is not that you become crazy and that you feel like, oh my God, people are going to lock me up now. No, what happens is that you're going to feel so much more at ease and so much more at peace with yourself because you are no longer feeling distracted by beliefs of the past. You're no longer feeling pulled out of your center because there is such a disturbing little voice inside of you that tries to get you off track. You're feeling in that moment that you are setting course, that you are creating your own map of your life, and that you are walking on your own path. And that's one of the most empowering and the most fulfilling ways of going through life. So be your inner mentor, make up your own rules, make up your own laws, just like you would mentor a child. Mentor this inner voice and see what's going to happen. Now, another way to be more alive and more engaged is to collect joy points. Now, joy points are something that I find are very important in life. And in the past, I made those joy points all about big things. You know, the next vacation, or maybe a house remodeling or renovation, or something that just felt like big to look forward to. And for months and months, I could just imagine it and look really ahead of it and could just feel how good it's going to feel to be there, and all nice and good. We all need to have something to look forward to. The problem is just, it totally gets you out of the present moment, and it makes you basically see life and the world in a very black and white way. So there is a time when you can have all this wonderful firework of whatever you're looking forward to. these 2 weeks of vacations or this great party that you're organizing. And then there are the other times, the longer times, the stretches in between that seem to be rather, gray and meaningless because there is no joy in it. There is nothing you really look forward to. And that is a waste of time. And that was one reason why 2016 was somehow not as alive, or I didn't feel as in it, because I didn't have those joy points. So now I have joy points. That means every day after my centering exercise, I'm looking already forward to little things that will happen during the day. Some of the things can be pleasant surprises that I'm just open to experience. Other things I know. I'm looking forward to letting our horses out in the prairie because it's always such a wonderful thing to see them running and going crazy. I'm looking forward to just petting the cat. I'm looking forward to maybe having a nice meal or a glass of wine. And I just look forward to the things that are ordinary, that in the past I completely took for granted and therefore never really savored. Because it's those little joy moments that really make a big difference. And it's those joy moments that give life to a day and that make a day memorable. I remember when I was 14 years old, I had a joy moment. I was laying in the grass somewhere in the south of France. I was looking up to the tree and I saw all these beautiful leaves glistening in the sunlight. And I felt so content and so happy that I told myself, I want to remember this moment for the rest of my life. Well, it had to do also with the fact that two beautiful girls were laying next to me, and it felt really good to be like in the middle of that attention. But either way, all these years later, I still remember that moment. It was not a very meaningful one in the great theme of things, but it was one that I completely savored and enjoyed. And so it shows you, doesn't have to be grandiose or complicated to have meaning and long-lasting effects on your life. When we'll come back, we will talk more about how to be happier and more alive in 2017. So just stay tuned.